So, what do you think about Nutcrackers? I really like Nutcrackers. They can be kind of uncanny with their giant, unhinged, gaping jaws, but they're also kind of cute in a way. Maybe cute's not the right word, but they have a good style to them. They have a good fashion sense. So this year I wanted to do something with them, some character. And so I first began not really thinking much about what I was doing, and just got down a general shape of something vaguely soldier-like. I then began working on their hat, and I still don't quite know what happened here or where my brain was while trying this part, but somehow their hat became a candle. This was not an intentional choice, and afterwards I wondered if I should go back and remove it, but I decided to keep it in because sometimes these weird, random elements can kind of add originality to a design, so I was hoping this could do the same. Pretty early on, I realized that there were going to be some issues I was going to have to figure out. The first and most immediate one being the fact that a Nutcracker, as a character, is kind of just a soldier at that point. I mean, the origins of a Nutcracker is really just that it was a fancy version of a typical normal metal Nutcracker, just based off of the design of a soldier. So, turning a Nutcracker into a soldier is kind of just making a soldier. So that was one thing I had to figure out. How was I going to make this soldier design clear that this was a Nutcracker soldier? Another problem I realized I had was that I wanted this character to have animal features since, I like having all my characters have some level of animal features. Although, as it turns out, having an animal character in clothes kind of just looks like a human at that point. So I had to figure out how I could show it was an animal, but still show that it was a Nutcracker, and specifically a Nutcracker and not a soldier. So yeah, there were few things to figure out. But in the meantime, I decided to not really worry about that, instead began putting down some colors. Because I find when you get stuck with something, or you get stuck in the sketch phase, when you start throwing down colors, it can kind of help you brainstorm or visualize where you want to go with things. And as it turns out, by doing this, I quickly realized that, really, the main feature for a Nutcracker is just the jaws, the big, unhinged, gaping jaws. And while I didn't really want this character to look like they have some sort of mouth problem, I realized that just by adding a colored patch where their mouth is, kind of makes it look like their mouth can open and like they're a toy. Also, as you're seeing here, I kind of tried to see if I could add in a mustache or beard, like how a lot of Nutcrackers have some sort of facial hair. It didn't really work, so I gave up after a bit, although I do come back to it later on, so keep an eye out for that. Another thing is, I made them holding this candle staff instead of any sort of weapon, because I figured that, I don't really know where these guys live or what the crime level is around them, but I don't really think they would be needing to really do much actual guarding. First of all, I don't think a place with any sort of Christmas theme would really have a lot of crime going on. It just doesn't seem like it fits the vibe. But secondly, and this is a real thing, typically northern places are a lot safer than other places in the world. I think something about having just a really harsh, cold climate makes people work together more. I think if you don't have something to fight against, you kind of end up fighting against yourselves. So in a harsh environment where it's very easy to freeze to death, I think it just makes people more friendly. And so I imagine that these guys would also probably be in a fairly friendly area. If anything, it probably makes more sense that these guys maybe don't guard places, but they're more of just workers. Maybe they go around clipping the Christmas trees or moving presents, I don't know, taking in firewood, different things to really help out with the area and not so much defend it. I doubt they even have a jail they put people in. They probably just wrap you in ribbon for a bit until you break free or something. Also, nuts. I don't know why, just your Nutcrackers, I figured the nuts, they were an essential part. Oh, but we're not done with these Nutcrackers yet, because I decided to do one more character design. That first one was just like your basic, ordinary, shiny red coat Nutcracker. But the thing with Nutcrackers, the real appeal of them, is just how many variations there can be. So for this guy, I basically tried to expand off everything from the first one. Instead of just a basic candle helm, this one's more fancy. It doesn't quite have as much room for candle wicks, but perhaps that's not so much of a problem, because perhaps this guy is more like a leader. Someone who you'd only need a few of to keep in charge, so it's more important that his hat is bigger and more visible from the others. I also tried making his face fluff bigger to resemble a bigger beard. It's a bit hard making a beard when your entire face is just fur, but I think you can kind of tell he looks a little more burly than the other one. Also, at this point, I began kind of thinking of what weapons or tools they might have. As I said before, they probably wouldn't really need any serious weaponry, so these would probably be more for decoration, just to keep up that appearance of a soldier. I gave this guy a pretty generic shield at first, not really too sure what to give him. And also in his other hand, I gave him a candy cane, which he is quite literally using as a cane. Oh yeah, and also a few of those like scented tree things you usually hang from a car. Yeah, I added those on the back because why not? He probably wants to smell pretty good, you know? Then after that, because I couldn't really think of what other interesting pose he could be in, I began thinking more about his accessories, like the candle helms, the candy cane canes, and of course the gift-wrapped shields. So I created some just different variations and views of them, just so you can kind of get an idea of the different ones there might be, and also perhaps the different soldiers there would be as well. And although for this guy, I made his candle wicks the same color as the other one, I also got the idea that perhaps the soldiers have different colored candle wickses. Maybe their color kind of indicates their skill level or what they're meant to do, like your belt color in karate, you know? Something like that. But I didn't do it for this one, so maybe next year. Also, a thing I kind of got stuck on was just what color to make this guy. It seemed kind of simple, but, you know, I wanted it to be like a good classic color, but then also be quite different from the first one, but then also be kind of Christmassy, but not super Christmassy. So in the end, I eventually decided, after thinking about it for like 2 days, to go with this kind of faded blue color, which I think works pretty well. Alright, but I have a problem. I was going to stop here originally, but the thing is, there was something that was bugging me about these two designs. Because the thing is, with Nutcrackers, the real appeal of them is just how many different variations and types there are. And with the soldier designs, although they were nice, they missed out on that big fun factor of Nutcrackers, which is their collectability. The first Nutcracker designs were originally these weird brown wooden statue things with the actual ability to break nuts, unlike modern Nutcrackers that just have their jaw broken if you try. It wasn't until years later that they actually took on the classic, iconic soldier appearance. And that iconic shape of the Nutcracker is, I think, really the thing that makes them so fun, because you can really put absolutely anything on them, and it's still recognizable as a Nutcracker as long as you keep that body shape. It's like Easter eggs, where you can paint them any color, but they're still obviously eggs. And so although turning Nutcrackers into an actual soldier character is nice and all, I think it really misses out on that fun aspect and that collectible aspect of just seeing a huge amount of different Nutcrackers in different colors and variations. And so for this last piece, I just went all out with it and just went with the typical toy Nutcracker look and created a huge amount of variations of them. Just as many different colors and types as I could possibly think of in like a few days, because at this point Christmas had already passed, and yeah, I really need to get better at getting these things out before the actual holiday. Ugh. I always find these types of pictures extra tricky to do because you just have to think so much about all the different designs for each one of the objects. Like for this one, it took me quite a bit of just trying something, looking at it for a bit, going away for a few hours, coming back, looking at it again, and then changing it a bit and rinse and repeat for a long time until eventually I settle on a design that I'm mostly happy with. Although even then, afterwards, I actually came up with a lot of ideas I just couldn't do at that point because I already had the main design set in place. Like, I got the idea for there could be some sort of patchwork nutcracker that's stitched together. I did an ice nutcracker here, but I was thinking I could have gone further with it and really just made him a snowman. Give him a black hat and make him holding sticks, have some coal on him. You could have really gone all the way with it. I was also thinking maybe there could just be a toy nutcracker, like an actual toy one. Make him look like he's maybe made up of individual parts, like he's made of Lego or something. You could do a robot nutcracker, make him all mechanical. You could make a gardener nutcracker. He could be holding a pitchfork, maybe stick a flower in his hat. Actually, a nutcracker's hat kind of looks like a flower pot. Maybe you can make a flower nutcracker with a pot on his head. I feel like there's a lot of different jobs you can give nutcrackers as well because they're all holding an item, so you can just give them a different tool for whatever job they're doing. Make a hazmat suit nutcracker, make him all yellow with a nuclear symbol on his head. Make a tire nutcracker, maybe he has a stack of wheels on his head. I could go on like this all day. The possibilities are endless with nutcrackers. But yeah, that's gonna do it. Christmas is way over at this point. Gotta get ready for Valentine's Day.